use the cart parking spaces as automobile spaces, not one for one, but we get all the parking we need there across the front, and it extends along towards the, near the tennis courts on this side. So it does work, and we can get it all in there. Increased handicap parking spaces as well, in accordance with the code and the need, because we have a number of people approach us and say we need more handicap parking spaces out in front of the building.
Richard, Marie's been waiting.
Sorry, Marie, where are you? Okay, go ahead, Marie. Sorry. The light from the...
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I do understand that if we did have a bigger clubhouse and a bigger restaurant, we can cater a lot of outside people in here when we are not using it during the season and during the summer, which would bring us in some financial
Assistance, yeah.
assistance, revenue, whatever, but we can bring in more money, and I think that would work out very nicely.
Well, thank you. That's a good comment, Marie. Unfortunately, I'm not the authority on that because that's an operational function, and that would be something the POA board, along with the restaurant committee and probably others, would have to deliberate. We cannot really address it, but it is an interesting concept. The reason I volunteered to chair the committee was that I went through this at my own clubhouse up north in Kingston, Ontario a couple of years ago, and I was the project manager for an expansion there. And we did much of what we're doing here. We added more. We did put a second story over there, but we kept the golf lounge downstairs, and this is a golf and curling club I'm referring to, so we had a curling lounge downstairs too. But the problem serving food from the dining or the kitchen on the second story down to the curling club and down to the golf lounge was a big problem. And as a matter of fact, although we have a capacity in that club to seat 200 people upstairs, it's never used except for events like Marie just mentioned, where we allow outside weddings on days that we're not using that facility, and in the off-season, particularly up in Canada. We're in the midst of the off-season right now for the golf part of it, and the curling is a much smaller operation, so the dining room isn't used at all except for weddings, business meetings, various corporations, the Rotary Club, etc., all come there for meetings, and they get charged a lot more than we do as members at that club. So there is a positive revenue that comes out of that. That's all I can tell you at this point. Any other questions?
Richard, you mentioned before that there could possibly be some development of the land at the end.
Yes.
And also I think there's talk of maybe some cart paths. So what if we have other capital expenditures? Where are we going to get the money for that?
Well, currently in your fees, there is an allowance for capital projects. Part of it was being put aside for a kitchen renovation. So I'm, again, not the finance committee and I'm not the POA, but we would have to start putting aside those monies that were being cataloged for a new guardhouse and for a kitchen renovation. We would keep those for any other projects that come up in the future. And I don't know, I mean, I really can't predict the future that accurately, but that would be my guess. And by the way, the development of the land at the end of the road for a cart barn and for a driving range is considerably different in terms of code with respect to what you have to do down there. Okay? If you build a building like this, it's going to be occupied with a lot of people. There's a whole set of codes that don't apply to a cart barn and a driving range. Any other questions? Jerry?
Thank you. Personally, I think that it would be better. Oh. Okay. I think you can probably hear me anyway. Okay. No, my feeling is, as far as paying for this, I'm more in favor of the long-term payment, number one. And and I think it would be a tremendous disadvantage for anyone that wanted to sell their unit if you paid, let's say you pay it all up front, and when you find that you're going to have a hard time finding a buyer that's going to want to pay you the dollars you paid for that unit. You're going to increase the price of your condo to sell it? I don't think so. So, but anyway, that's just my thought. I prefer the long range payment, pay the interest as you're going. It's like you mentioned, it's more, you're paying more interest in the long run, or depending on how, like some of us old guys, we're not going to worry too much about that, probably 20 years from now. But anyway, just my thoughts, so, thank you.
I'm going to be here for 30 more years, Jerry. Thank you. Okay, what else? Back here, I think.
I'm Hank Pascal. Just to clarify the affirmative vote here, if you said it's going to be half of all owners plus one,
Correct.
that doesn't mean half of votes cast, the majority.
No, half of all owners. So if you don't vote, it's the same as a no vote. Okay? So please, if you're interested in this, convince your neighbors to vote in favor of it. I hope you've heard some positive things. I don't know how this is all going to go, I really don't. But the committee has worked long and hard. We think this is the best solution to you. And we don't think that it's very much more money than you've paid for the golf course renovation. So, I mean, if we get to the $120 a year, which is a higher number than we predict, that's $10 a month more than you're paying today. I know that you might have been looking forward to the finish of the golf course payments and have your fees go down. But the last time I saw fees go down, let me think now. No, I never saw them go down. Anyway, I mean, I'm being a little facetious there, but what else can I say? We have more questions back here. Go ahead, John.
Richard, obviously some things have changed on your committee. Within the last, I would say probably 3 weeks ago, one of your committee members told me that there was a different law under which you could vote for this new building, and it required 50% plus one of the people that voted, not 496.
Well, I'll just defer to Tom Dudas for that.
John, there's two things that have to be addressed in the bylaws. One is, if we wanted to build a new clubhouse and had $3.5 million laying around in the bank and didn't have to borrow the money, that would be correct. It would be 50% of the people who voted. However, there are two thresholds here. The other threshold is, in order for us to go out and borrow money, just like the golf course was the exact same thing. In order for us to go out and borrow money, we need 51% of the doors to vote in favor of that. That has never changed. It was the same as, on the golf course, and it's the same now. So we would need 249 yes votes for this to pass.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Rich, what is the capacity of the restaurant at the present time?
Janine or Tom, will you?
The legal capacity is 168. However, depends on what function we have going on. When we have entertainment and want to keep this dance floor free and available, we can't serve 168 people. We had 127 in here the other night. We were jammed up.
Okay. So 127 is basically the capacity of the restaurant in peak seasons, is that correct?
Right around there, that would be correct.
Rich, I'm trying to figure out how you can justify 6 months of the year where we have practically no one in the restaurant, even on the nights where there's entertainment.
Yeah.
There were times this past summer where we had 12 people in the restaurant
Right.
on Tuesday nights. And how can you justify the expense in the wintertime when you're going to go to what, a capacity of 240? Where are you going to get 240 people to come in here? That's basically half of the residents.
Yeah,
all
it's
over there.
a good question, though. Part of the issue, though, is remember that 40 of those seats is a meeting room and a card room. So how often those are going to be used in the dining room will only be when you have the huge party and you don't want to have people sitting outside on the back like I did this year. So it's not really 240, it's 240 if we use the meeting room. So it's 200 other than that, approximately speaking. Some of those are around the bar, and those don't always get filled up either, but they're counted in that number. And also, we think that things are going to change. The demographics, as I mentioned, are going to change, and things will get better. And if we get some exciting programming, some better happy hours, some better food service, a whole bunch of things that I don't address as the chairman of the long-range planning committee, but I certainly feel in my heart of hearts that that will help us grow the population in this building. Thank you. Are there any other questions? I'm getting worn out here. Just one more. Here we go.
This is Bob Hughes, and I don't really have a particular question. I've addressed this group and other groups on a couple occasions, and I'm highly in favor of this, and I would like to compliment the committee and everything they've done. I think they've done a beautiful job. I think we have an opportunity here to grow the Hideaway Country Club. And I think probably if you've been watching some of the news, you know, Florida is the third largest populated state in the United States. That's California is first, Texas is second, and Florida is now third over New York. So I think we've got an awful lot of people here that are in Florida that are here year-round that could be involved in helping this place afford to do what we're talking about doing. So I encourage everybody to vote for this thing and get this show on the road.
Richard, we'll do a couple other people that want to say something real quick.
Well, you know, the bottom line, what do you want? $3 million and have a nice, beautiful clubhouse, or you want to spend $200 million to this hole in the roof? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, most of us are not going to be here for 20 years anyhow. I mean, we're going to be 6 foot down or whatever. So you're only paying here. The golf course. I know you don't want to listen. But, the golf course, I can't hear you. I mean, this is going to be an assessment for the future. And you have to think of this place. I mean, it would cost so much more to fix this place up than it's just ridiculous. It doesn't make any common sense.
Somebody else back there, Sean?
I don't have anybody else, I don't think. Oh, maybe somebody else, Rich, front.
Okay, I don't have a microphone that's working, that one's dead. If we don't get a new clubhouse, let's get a new PA.
Okay, who needs a microphone?
Tony Woodridge.
Tony Woodridge, she doesn't get it.
A couple of words. To counter the other thing I just heard about, let's keep the place the way it is. That's new money after an old facility. It's a 30-year-old facility at this point. It's not going to get any newer. And people say, well, there's not enough people coming to the events. They don't come to dinner. They don't come to the dances. They don't have gatherings and meetings. 136 people? 150? Where's the other 250? Why don't you come out? Who hasn't spent any money or time in this facility? You're all members. You all have an interest here. And the plan, as has been stated, the demographics are indicating they're younger crews, people are living longer, and they're active. There's a lot of active people in this facility. A lot of people enjoyed it. The rest of you, come on in. It's a great place.
Somebody else wanted to say something?
Hello, I'm Jerry. I'm a new owner here at Hideaway. I landed here not by accident, but what I saw of the new golf course. There are some real, truly interest, and I think the recommendation to put forward a new clubhouse is going to attract a lot of people. There'll be a dogfight to get in here eventually. I know you've suffered some very serious economies down here, but it's really rebounding. I'm from the north, and a lot of my friends I know want to get down here eventually. We're the bondmen of the boomers, and we believe in this place. So.
Thank you. The other, one final comment from me. I already said this, but I'm going to make a promise to all of you here today and to the entire Hideaway. If we build a new building here, I promise that I will be so actively involved in improving things in this facility, you'll get sick of seeing me and hearing from me. And I will be there. Thank you for coming today. I'd like to adjourn this meeting and hang up, oh sorry, adjourn my part. Thank you.
Good job, Richard.
We're going to have a 2-minute POA meeting here to, basically that's it, to see if we want to put this out for a vote. Keith, Pat, Mr. Finelli's gone, so there's basically 4 of us. Yeah.
One more question.
One more question? One more question. Go ahead. I'll repeat.
Oh, I'll at you.
I'll repeat it. Go ahead.
Have you got an estimate on what it would cost to refurbish this building?
Have we got an estimate as to what it would cost to refurbish this building?
1.5 to 1.7 million.
I think that's what they were discussing earlier.
Who was it?
Pardon?
What company said that?
What company did that? That was Oak.
And that's the one that wants to build the new one?
Hold on.
Yeah, we had two separate A&E firms tell us that it was not cost effective to renovate this facility. But nevertheless, just to say that, there's not enough evidence there, so we investigated that. And it cost a minimum of $1.5 million just to take this existing building, make no changes, but bring it up to code. If you make the change of adding a kitchen renovation in there, it's $1.7 million. Okay, does that answer your question? Thanks.
Okay. Pat. We're going to have a quick vote to see if in fact we want to send this out. So, Pat, can you certify a quorum? We have a quorum certified. We're going to have a motion to see if we want to send this out for a vote. Is there anybody who wants to discuss the motion prior to who's making it? Mr. Larley?
Based on the recommendation of the Long Range Planning Committee, I move that we prepare and mail out the information and proxy so the owners can vote on whether they would like to proceed with the clubhouse renovation and borrowing $3.5 million.
We have a motion, second, any discussion?
I have a question. I do have a question. The proposal that we're going to vote on says 3.2 and for 500 to 600 for 200 years. It basically says what they said, 3.5 for 20 years, 500 to 600. I would like that every owner here has their option. You want the 5-year, you want to pay it off once, and I want to investigate that before it's mailed out.
No.
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 You can have 20 years. I'd like to.
Do it yourself.
You can't do that because I don't have any
Hold on.
knowledge.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Not from you guys. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Can I have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion and a second. Motion to adjourn. Thank you all for coming.